Someone asked me before Shabbos that his wife is out of town and he's lighting Shabbos candles at home. So how many candles should his wife light and how many candles should he light? So the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch writes like this: Tikna Chachamim Shira L'chol Adam Ner Dolok B'Shabbos B'chol Cheder V'Cheder. That Chachamim said there should be a Ner Dolok B'Shabbos. Sheilos Sham B'Shabbos M'Sholon Bayis Shaloi Koshel Vayetzei V'Evan. V'Chayv Kol Adam K'Sheichel Sudas Alayla Loch Leitz Loira Ner Shda B'Chlal Einik Shabbos. That part of Einik Shabbos to eat with a candlelight. The main part of the mitzvah of Adlokas Neder Shabbos is that light that he uses to eat with it. The Gemara says many stories of Amayroim that they were zohir with the candles and therefore they had children Tamid Chachamim or son-in-laws Tamid Chachamim.
And the reason for light is to have shalom bayis, to have light in the house, you can food, you shouldn't get along spices.
Exactly.
Everything should be good.
But Lapoil, Chazal say that because of Ner Mitzvah Torah, so when you're zohir in that, you'll be zohir to have children Tamid Chachamim and son-in-laws Tamid Chachamim.
But usually the woman is in charge of the candle, not the man.
So the rabbis have a light in every room or a candle in every room?
Prepare the candle.
The light on every room?
So we get to
Light
that.
it and take it out.
V'yesh mechavnin las is based psilas b'nei. There are those that put two psilas. Echad keneged zacher v'echad keneged shomer. B'nei shel shayva v'shel chelav madlikim beis neidis. They put two candles, one for zacher, one for shomer. V'yichelim gam kan loisav l'adlik gimel. Oidalet ki yichelim loisav al davar machuvin keneged davar acher. Rak shelo yifchis. That the main thing is not to do less. The main minig is two. The Lapoil, the minig Yisrael, the prevalent minig Yisrael, many Ashkenaz and most Sephardim, but also by some Ashkenaz, is that you should have a candle for every child. Why? Because the Gemara says so, and the main thing is the candle that are in the dining room, but minig Yisrael is to have Shabbos lights or whatever lamps in other rooms that they need. Now there's an important halacha here. Isha sheshocha pamachas lahadlik menoigim shemadlekas kol yamei gimel. That she does one extra candle on the rest of her life for that one time she missed. V'mshachach kama pam mesafes v'chol kam she'elo heker v'zikonin she'ezehir mekal lama b'kovet Shabbos v'lo yitovel l'dei shikha. The Nensaf was an onus, was an accident. She was in the hospital, she was in the jail. Anyway, bottom line to this woman that had a question. So, like someone mentioned, the main mitzvah is on the husband, and the wife is like his shliach. So, Ladina, the Shoyarim Tzanim Halacha, which is a sefer Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, a terrific sefer. And it was written by Rav and Barpark, Rabbi Broin, whose Einik Kul is Rav today in Crown Heights. Really terrific sefer. It's four volumes. He has a Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, and the bottom he has a lot of practical Sheilos. So he brings from many Acharonim that a woman that's on the road, she's not home, she's a oirachas, doesn't have to light more than two candles. Why? Even though it was as if when a woman lights, she doesn't know lumdus. She knows the minig is to light for every baby another candle. So it's as if she took a neder upon herself to do a dover toiv. It's as if she took a neder to do a mitzvah, to add candles l'chovet Shabbos. So it's like as if kilu she made it tonight, because it's yadua, because when she'll travel she doesn't want to impose on the hostess. So or it's kalei bezdem asnaleim. Anyway. I haven't seen in Lubavitch women that ever came to our house as orchim that lit any less than they light at home, even if the number is 22 candles.
You go back to
in the Welt, they see that they do two, like the Achronim say. If they travel, I've seen it all over. People that travel, they light two candles. And that's it. And that's it.
If you go back, according to, I think Hilchos Nadar, if you go back to the original minute, you don't have an intention to break the minute, and you go back to it, you don't need Hatos Nadar.
He also says it's like leif bezna mas not leif. Rabbi Engel has says a word. Now to the husband.
So let's say the wife is having a baby in the hospital. She has those two electric little candles.
And he at home is a Sheilos what he should do at home now.
With the bracha, with everything? No?
Oh, well, what she should do is another Shaila. We'll leave it for another time if she's about the electric.
I mean, it's a more common scenario. The wife is away in the hospital having a baby.
Right. So, okay, a lot of places can hold that she can make a bracha in it, and women that rely on that. But the emes is that the Shabbos after she has the babies anyway brought in the Shulchan Aruch that the minig Ashkenazim is that the husband should light anyway. So it's really not such a big issue.
Are you familiar with the minhag of, I don't know if it's a real minhag, but of adding a candle if you've missed a Shabbos?
Right, that's what we just spoke about. That the Shulchan Aruch says that you have to, that the minhag is that she has to add. So this is a chap from Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. It brought in Shemitah Shabbos Kel Chosa that he says a chap. He says a woman that travels she only has to light 2 candles. Again, the average woman they'll light, doesn't matter where they light. But in the Welt, if someone asks you a child, they light 2 candles. But what happens? They once forgot. So now they have, say, a family of 5 children, plus Zocha v'Shama, the husband, the wife. Plus she forgot. Once she lights 8 candles. Now that she travels, he says she has to light 3 candles. This one that she has to do for tshuva kapora doesn't change. She still needs tshuva kapora, so that doesn't change. A chap from the Shlomo Zalman. I'm just telling you that's what he holds. Now the husband, what does he have to light? So the Piskei Teshuvah brings from a lot of Achronim. He has to light only 2, even though his wife is a shliach of him. So, but the details of how she lights it is not negated to him. He wants that the wife should light a candle. If a husband's happy, his wife puts on makeup. Which color? It's like on Linka Piata where she buys. She wants some makeup. He wants her to light. It's his mitzvah. He gives it over to her that she should light the Shabbos candle. She decides she lights to light 22 candles. What is he going to say? He goes to the store and he buys a big package of candles. He buys big candles, whatever type of candles she likes. He buys her the candles. But now that he is lighting, it goes back to his mitzvah. It's not ki'ilu that he was makabel on himself that he's going to light 22 candles.
But if it's a kanash, he should light this.
But she has to light it. It's not she has to light it.
If he doesn't do it, she's not going to do it either.
Why shouldn't she do it?
How come I have to light 5 candles, you light 2? It's not right.
No, it's a from a Bible, so probably.
Even though the mitzvah goes on the house, it would seem that in a certain way the mitzvah is going on the Baal, on the Gavra, not the on the Leichter. That
yeah, sure.
If the mitzvah was on the Leichter, it shouldn't matter if
Leichters have no mitzvahs.
So what I mean is that it would seem that even though we say that the house should have lights, it makes a difference who's the madlik, whether it's the husband or the wife. Let's say it was a teenage kid. Let's say both the parents are sick. And the mother says, all right, you know, the teenage daughter or the teenage son should do the lighting for the house based on that. If the wife lights 12 every Friday night, she would be telling the teenager, all right, just light 2 or light 3 and you're done.
Yeah, true.
I mean,
true.
So
True.
It seems to go on the Gavra, not on the Kafsa.
Right.
I would, based on that.
Yeah.
Say the wife's not there, but there's another girl in the house that always lights. The husband still has to light.
No. The person that asked me, the girls are not lighting. Okay. The person that asked me.
In Lubavitch, all the girls light, so would that make a difference?
Yeah, it makes a difference.
So in that case, not winning.
Right. The daughters will be a shliach.
Yeah.
And anyway, so the Maisa, he brings there from Rav Moshe Stern. He was at Oven Borough Park, the Britzina Rov. He was a very special person. How do I know? Because I was a little kid, and we wrote a sefer together. And, you know, I was just after Bar Mitzvah, and I came knocking on his door for Askom in the sefer. What could you think about that? Think about it. He opened the door. He took me into his house, as if I was on Odom Choshev. Sat down, spoke a little bit of learning, took out a paper. He wrote such a fancy Askoma. 14-year-old kid. you look back, you think about.
I have a mice with him on Tisha B'Av.
Yeah.
I was walking down the street. He fell asleep. As he woke up, he says, "Well, come on, maybe you could buy me a seltzer across the street." So I come back to him. I give him the seltzer. Why do you tell me it's Tisha B'Av? I figured the Rav. I got to tell the Rav it's Tisha B'Av. I don't know why he needs seltzer. So he says, he doesn't even want the seltzer. Now, if I could take it, it's not a problem. Yeah, no problem. I'll use the seltzer. I don't even know. I thought it was very interesting.
He just fell asleep, as I.
We had the door open,
Ah.
and he fell asleep. It was a hot day. He woke up, he thought maybe I need a seltzer. Then by the time I came back, he realized Tisha B'Av. So you learn from the story, you still have to tell the Rav. Does the Rav not realize it's Tisha B'Av?
Who was this? Who's
The same Rav. Yeah.
Anyway, he says that the better he should light the full amount. But in Lubavitch, with the women anyway lighting their amount, so there's no tachlis. Let them light 2 candles and that's it. Okay. And an interesting Shiloh this week. Last Sunday after the shir, someone comes over. He lost the ksuba. Okay, I lost the ksuba. You have to write a ksuba there, okay, very good. I have a lot of copies. It costs a fraction of a penny to run on the copy machine. Another star. Very good. Sometimes a person asks a shayla and then they try to make it better.
Well, you need Adam if you get Adam.
You know, try to make it better. You know the story, they say the story of Vayetzei, that a person came to ask for tshuva, that Rahman al-Atzlan, he was mezana with a woman. So before the Rabbi could tell him what he should do for tshuva, he said, but you should know, Rebbe, that I told her she has to wait for 7 days and then go to the mikveh. Rabbi said, I can't help you. I can't give you a derech to do tshuva. 7 days he waited till you did the aveda. She went to the mikveh. I can't help you. So, you know, sometimes someone asks a shayla, and then they have no chepes on top of that. So a person wanted to help out. He knows who the original Eidim are, and they're right here available. And also, he remembers the date of his wedding. Okay, so l'chayda you'd say, what's so bad with that? L'chal's good, the machaya. The problem is that there's a standard thing called ksuva de irkesa. Let me tell you something before we go into the shayla. There's the holy grail of all shtaris. It's called the nachla shiva. Mamish, the holy grail of all shtaris. Someone that doesn't know, who the nachla shiva is shouldn't be ever writing a shtar. So Nachla Shiva was a Talmud. He was born, and the Talmud of the Taz was born in Mezrich, and it's about 100 years before the Mezrich Magid. Just like the Bach was a Rov in Mezhebush, the Malka Baal Shem Tov, just 100 years earlier. So the Nachla Shiva was in Mezrich, but 100 years before the Mezrich Magid. It was Talmud of the Taz. He wrote a sefer, which is the sefer of Shtoris today. Similar to the Rebbe Zayda who wrote the Kav Noki, which is the sefer on every table of every Masad I get. He might not know who Mechaba sefer is, but he has it on his table. That's a Nachla Shiva. So Nachla Shiva has a standard shtar, which is called a Ksuva D'Irkasa, someone that loses the Ksuva. The Chazal say, we'll learn it now inside, that a husband has to write his wife a Ksuva, and it's also for the husband to live with his wife even a short time without having a ksuba. She has to have the ksuba in her possession, and if she loses the ksuba, they're not allowed to live together until they go and they make a new ksuba. You have to make a new ksuba. So there's a standard thing called ksuba de yirkasa, and that's no big deal. You take out a pen and paper. Okay, it takes 20 minutes to fill out. There's a lot of.
If the ksuba stored online, does that?
But that's it also.
Does that work?
If you scan it,
You scan it on the computer, and on the computer it will probably never get lost.
Dropbox, Google.
No problem. You could do it. Problem is
People
you have
do that?
to. Yeah. You're saying storing the information.
Yes.
No, I have a scan.
you need a
scan
piece of
it.
paper.
Scan a
What
copy.
do you mean? How are you gonna take it out in Bezdin?
No, but if it gets lost, hit print.
You could print it out. Do people bismanas now that you can scan information?
No way. No way.
No
way. Then every woman, if that was true, every woman could collect from her husband up to $1 million easy at the get. So all she has to do is to print out the same the ksuba. All she has to do is print out the ksuba 10 times and go to 10 botei dinim. And he has to hold a shoiver. Okay,
She could still make a copy even if it wasn't online.
no, because there's no original signatures. You don't write the second ksuba.
Wait, what's
Never
that?
write a second
What's
ksuba.
that?
You only write one
Rabbi, let
ksuba.
me
She
ask
can
you.
never have more than one ksuba in her hand.
If the original is lost, you can do that. But if the original is lost, you can make a copy, hit copy print, and make a template and make a new one.
But they have kosher Eidim that sign.
And then
New
2 weeks
Eidim,
later,
new
you find the original one, and you can click on.
Oh, so now you're asking a good question. So the Nachla Shiva says that a Talmud Chacham husband is going to go to Bezdin and say, "What does my wife finds the other one?" So Bezdin is going to say to the woman, she has to write a shoiver. She has to write a receipt. There's a whole pilpul about this. How you talk him that he should be obligated to hold a receipt. A person sometimes loses a receipt. So the answer is no, but whatever. The bottom line is he has to hold a receipt.
Can
Huh?
you scan the receipt?
Is there a standard receipt?
Scan it.
Oh, can you scan the receipt?
They do it by get also. They cut up the get, but the woman gets some kind of
Right,
respect.
but the receipt, the
Rav
thing
has-
is, I have never seen any Rav that asks the woman to sign for a receipt. Lanias daiti, what the Nachla Shiva means is to say, if the husband's a Talmud Chacham, and he comes and he says, he goes like this, and he has a taina. So then you have to go to the woman and say, look, could you please sign a document to say that you're moichel, that the first ksuva is null and void,
Yeah, but
because otherwise she can come and collect two ksuvas.
They settle the ksuba before the ksuba is settled
Yeah,
before
for
they
sure,
get-
but what's the
Mammals has to be
difference?
finished
Sure, but
before
what's the
they do
difference?
that.
The husband could have a taina.
How can he have a taina? Where's he gonna have a taina?
What do you mean?
What,
She
the
can go
get-
to.
was the
She
get
can collect
given?
twice
How could-
before the get. Before the get.
She runs out and runs to another basin.
Or she'll go to the same business and say the original ksuva. This is the we. She'll say we got divorced noch in Savishin. There was a second marriage. The same man married me twice.
Well, if that happens,
Oh,
he
you
has to
mean
pay
a
for each
couple weeks
marriage.
later? Okay.
We have to pay for each marriage.
Listen, it's not going to happen. but I'm just saying that's why there's no dog ever that I know of ever asked a woman to sign such a paper called a shoiva. It's not like I've done many times ksuva de'irkus. I never went to the woman and say, "Listen, please sign such a piece of paper." If the husband will come and say this and that, okay, so you have to write a shoiva. The problem with this ksuva de'irkus I had was like this: the ksuva de'irkus is a standard star. It's a standard star, and it says like this. It says that we want Mada Havis Kadmona. It came to us today, to our attention. It's Berisha B'Shabbos, Shlishi L'Chodesh Kislev, Shnatzah Chamesh Salaf, Shmesh Shmoin L'Bnei Shmonam Kan, Brooklyn, Nova York, Eichshe, whatever, Osla Kadmona, Amalado, Maris, whatever, Kadhavis. Nisavis Lili into Mikadmas Denob, Marsov, which city? And now we say that there was a ksuva. However, V'amar Rabbanon also L'Bar Yisrael L'Shui Mid Intasa Below Ksuva Afila Shaita Chada, and now it was lost. So what should we do? And he says, Hashta Kisadi Kadmoi the Chasima Techus Ksufta Kamaisa Lesnu. The original, the Eidim are not around. V'zman ksuvasa kamaisa lo yodaina, and we don't know when it was written. So therefore, kasavna lo ksufta da chalufta ksufta kamaisa. Meyam edinon, but lishna da marlana, whatever. So now, wait a minute. There's a lie. It's a lie. You can't write. You're not allowed to lie. You can't make a lie. It's a zuif metoicha. A joke. There's not ceremonial. There's not ceremonial contract. These are true things.
What's the lie?
If the original Eidim are standing here and they're signing, and you wrote here in the star, Kisad de kadmoi de chasim et chus ksuf de kamais lesnu.
No, wait.
The
Take out that
This
This was 25
Take
years
out
ago.
that language.
Oh,
Not anymore.
if there's that,
Take
you
out
need to
that
have a sophisticated
So
computer.
then take out the language.
I'll
If it's
explain to you
not-
why.
It's not shy.
I don't have this Ksuvan word. I have it as a picture. So I don't type very quickly. So to retype this, and you have to make sure there's no mistakes. It take 2 hours minimum. To write it up, it take over an hour. One mistake and the last line, and that's usually when the mistakes happen. I mean, this is Shai Uikas number 2. 3, the third one worked out good. It's a small mistake. Again, you can't say a small mistake. It's not get. But a tiny thing is the whole thing is our garbage. So I'm gonna, and on top of all, when you start making your own shtoris, you have to know what you're doing.
You can't cross out.
You have to know what you're doing.
what
You're
doesn't
not.
apply.
No, you can't cross.
No. You don't cross things out.
I
You don't cross things out.
tried to do that on Marsov. I had a mistake with a name, my wife's name.
So
Hey,
then you
now,
can make it. You
Oh.
can
If
correct
God's
in the
giving
bottom.
to destroy, you got to do it over
Okay.
again.
Oh well. All right. We're
I
learning.
thought I was doing the right thing.
No, chas v'shalom. You have to make it shtar. It has to be
I'll tell you,
kosher.
hey, to Aleph.
Even though we know what's going to happen, no one's going to stiff anyone. They're up to Bezin at the end anyway. Today, whatever. If the guy doesn't have any money, it's a treftzach, and the woman is desperate for a get, she'll beg him. She'll pay him money to get out of this. And if they have money today, in a normal case, they go 50-50. It's not like. How often does it happen that there comes to shoot a sadin? How much is the ksuba worth, and where's the paper? Hundreds of gittin kipshuta that I've been at, I've never seen that it should come down to that. Where's the ksuba? Whatever. The money things that work. But Lepoil, you have to make a kosher ksuba. You have to make a kosher ksuba. I can't stand there and make a joke out of this. You can't do that. I have to type it, the whole thing up. And then, on top of that, that means, and there's a few more other little changes that I have to make to the ksuba on my own. So, first of all, it's the
So it is
time. Second of all, so therefore, I decided that Yos, the original Adam, they don't remember. They don't remember when the chasna was.
Maybe they're not alive even.
They were alive. They were standing here, basement Mendel, but they don't remember when the original chasna was. He remembers. They don't remember.
Get the bench.
And the Beis Shmuel says that the ikad is not the tzaddik hamoy the chsimu is less no. The ikad is that kzman ksuva kamayis lo yadaina. Why is it negeya when you know the ksuva kamayis or not? So he doesn't say, and the Shulchan Aruch also doesn't say. But Pashtus, I'll tell you what's the issue here. The issue is, why do you want to write the original date? It's the toiv of the woman to write the original date. Why is it the toiv of the woman to the original date? When they got married, he owned the Empire State Building. Again, this person we're dealing with doesn't own a bicycle. But what's the difference? We're talking about Ashtar. When he got married, he owned the Empire State Building. A year later, he sold it. A year after that, they lost the ksuva. Now we're going to write a ksuva d'irkasa for today. Now, when they get married, divorced, if they get divorced 20 years later, and he's penniless then. So she wants to go back to the Lekuchos and say, oh, he sold the Empire State Building, but it's Meshubah to me. I have a contract that goes before the Empire State Building. So whoever bought the Empire State either gives me the building or he gives me whatever the shtar is worth. Today it's around $25,000. Say it's considered Ikik Suvin, Tesefis Ksuvas, and Adunya. Say so give me the $25,000 or give me the Empire State Building. But if she has a ksuva d'irkis, the guy says, what do you mean? Well, the ksuva has a later date. The date on there has to be that the date of the ksuva is before the sale of his property. So therefore, if you know the day of the original when the original ksuva is, you can write it. But you have to know for sure. The Edom have to tell you when was the day of the original wedding.
They don't have to come down.
The truth is, the Beis Shmuel says, say there was a couple was married for 20 years. And then after 20 years she lost the ksuva, and they make a ksuva the irkasa. And then a year later they get divorced. She could collect property even that he sold 15 years ago. The whole oilam knows they got married like 20 years ago. If there's a coil, if there was punkt, it was 20 years ago exactly he sold a property, then you can't, because you don't know exactly the date of the marriage. But he can't say, oh, listen, for 20 years, anything I sold is free and clear. It's not meshubet to her. We know you were married to Erech 20 years. You have a son that's 20 years old, and it's from this woman, was Hakstachainik. He can't. He only could argue about a couple of months, but he can't stiff her on 20 years. A couple of months he can argue. Say, we weren't married yet when I sold this property. But he can't say, oh, all the 20 years the properties I sold are not meshubet to the ksuba. So b'meila, it's not like, again, first of all, this person that came to make ksuba has no properties b'chlal. Halavai, he owned a bicycle, Kalmur. But naniach even, so I wasn't doing anything so terrible.
You got to explain the toises and the Russian ksubas. Now, how can you write a ksuba you don't own a penny? Toises and the Russian, that's the reason.
Akaponim, I didn't do anything wrong, Klapi, the woman. What I did was, I made a ksuba with different Edom. A different Edom. The funny thing was that I know that there is under the chuppah, there is the minig is that minig Yisrael Toirahi, that the chassan gives it to the kala in front of the two Edom. So but the thing was that this guy lives in a place where the closest from Yid is a 2.5 hour drive. So
The witness, the aid, or the husband?
the closest from Yid, besides the husband is from and the wife is from. If you want to find two from Jews, you have to drive 2.5 hours.
The middle of nowhere.
2.5 hours, you'll find then one more from Yid. So, and the woman is not here, only he was here. So I gave him the ksuva. But the Edom actually asked a good question. How could you do that? The minig is that the husband gives the ksuva to the wife in front of two Edom. So at the time I said it's not critical. It's not critical. It's minig Yisrael, but it doesn't ruin the whole shibud. And what can I do? This guy has to go back home, and his wife is not here. Next time his wife is going to come to New York together with him, will be Vayetzei in 6 months. But it bothered me. So that night I sat down and I was ma'ayin in the sugya. So here is has a shaykhs this week's Parsha, because when Rivka says to Yaakov to take Shnei Gedoy Izim, Rashi says it wasn't that she steals. It was written in the Ksuva that she gets every day Shnei Gedoy Izim. That's what Rashi said. Every day. That's what the Rashi says. Anyway, so the connection. At every Yid, it's a standard thing that besides the ksuva that Chazal said that the woman has to get, that and besides the nedunya that every Yid gives tesefes ksuva, and it's very important to understand this idea of tesefes ksuva, because the reason Chazal made that a should be a ksuva is they didn't want it should be to the dignity of the Jewish women. A person could get married and divorce her a day later. What's the big deal? It has to hurt him in the pocketbook. It's going to cost him $25,000. So he's going to think twice before he divorces her. So, but minig Yisrael is also to be moisef, to be generous. Chazal said that you're giving, say, 100 or 200 of ksav zuzi. And he says, I'm gonna double it. I'm gonna give more. Tesefes ksuva. Or she brings nadunya. He says, I'm gonna double it. We estimate whatever you're bringing into the marriage is a certain amount of money, and I'm doubling it. So, why? Because that's minig Yisrael from the days of Avraham Avinu and Yitzchak, that besides the ksuva, they gave extra. Tesefes ksuva. That's a generous ayid. Ayid is, b'chlal, it says in the ksuva, that he's going to be kehilchas kuvrin yudoyin, the zonin, umoikrin, umefarnesin, l'nesheyan, bekushta. That they give mezoinus and parnasa bekushta, be'emes. What does it mean bekushta? B'sheker? Or maybe b'sheker. They give it generously, Mephoshim say. They give it with generosity. So also the ksuva is written with generosity. So he adds, besides the ikka ksuva that the woman has to get, say Zabasula, she's getting 200. And besides the nedunya, whatever she brings into the marriage, which is all we estimated at a standard thing, which woman brings in this amount. But whatever, that's a standard ksuva. Besides that, a person does a tesefes ksuva, and on all these three things, the Edom come and they give a beged that belongs to them, and they give it to the chassan. The chassan picks it up, and he makes himself obligated towards the kala to give her all that. Why am I telling you all this? Because we're going to learn now inside that Amos says that today, if someone loses a ksuva, in his mind, in Amos' mind, really it's not so terrible. Because anyway, a person can't divorce his wife. Rabbi Gershon said that you can never divorce your wife balkorcha. So how terrible would it be if you live with her 2 days without a ksuva? Because anyway you can't divorce. But anyway, the Amos says minig Yisrael is that as soon as you lose a ksuva, you write a new one. Ein l'shans. That's the minig. But gitzu the nachla shuva, that I'll tell you why the minig Yisrael is that. Because we write a tesefes ksuva, he is being generous to her. He's saying the marriage, you're so important to me. Besides what Chazal said, that if chas v'shalom I pass away, or chas v'shalom I divorce you, says the husband that he's going to pay a certain amount that Chazal obligated. He obligates himself double that tesefes. Now that tesefes she could never prove. She could never, if Rachman San he passes away, tesefes ksuva, she has to have a star for that. So therefore, because the minig is to have tesefes, so you have to write a new star so she could show that she has this tesefes ksuva. Okay, let's read it inside. Pasuk Shulchan Aruch. It says in Shulchan Aruch, Kosar l'ksuva, he wrote a ksuva to a woman. V'nevda, she lost it. She was meichel to him. V'davke, shekosar l'eskabal te ksuvos, etzorich lichta v'acheres. She has to write her a new ksuva. B'ikar ksuva, she'os l'adam l'adam mishta sha'achad b'la ksuva. She could be meichel to him the tesefas, but the actual ksuva, he has to rewrite it, because he can't live with a woman without a ksuva. He says, Ayin l'kamon simakufay in Zayin, says the Ramah. Over there it talks about that a woman that was a person that was ma'anas, a girl, so he can't, he has to marry her, and he can't divorce her forever. So Chazal says she doesn't need a ksuba, because anyway he can't divorce her. So based on that, sagt der Mod, b'mokim she'em megarishem rak merotzen isha, ein tzorich lichtav ksuvim. Kem bezman hazeh, Medina say l'shem megarishem al korcha shel isham shum chenem rabbeinu gerishem, k'may shezbar l'kamam mitzim kufiyates, hoyev shel hokol b'tzivus ksuva. Aval ein amina kein, ve'in l'shanis. As I said, the Nachal Shiva says the reason for this minig is because, true, he can't divorce her Bal Korcha, but he was generous and he gave her a Tesefis, and there's no way she'll be able to prove it if Chas v'Sholem he passes away or divorce. Next if Benevda, if it was lost, Yadi Sadi, if the Edom know Zimna Kama, they know the original time. Kasfer Huzmana, they have to write the original time. Shulchan Aruch doesn't say reason. As I said, the simple reason is so for her benefit, so she can take from the properties that he sold from the first day of after the marriage. V'lo yadi, kasvei mahashta. If they don't know, you write it from today. But moichelas, if she was moichel d'ksuva, then for sure ein moichel ein kaisven el mazman shel achshav. Write today's date because that she was moichel any schus she has. Alamai, you need a ksuva, so you write it for today.
Let me ask you this: actually, the opposite, the converse. If there's property, obviously, when they got married, she's entitled to it. If there's debt, she was on the hook for
No, she's not entitled to it.
She's on the hook for the debt? No,
She's not on the hook for the debt, and she's not entitled to his properties.
No, I'm saying after, while they were married.
Nope. She's not entitled to it, and she has no debt. She
walks away scot-free.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the properties that she brings into the marriage, she gets back at the end. The market of the minig that a chosn has to give the kala in front of two edim, under the chuppah. What's the marker from this? So there's a tashbetz, there's a long tashbetz. If Shimon ben Tzemach Duran, who was one of the last the last Gadol B'Yisrael that lived in Mallorca. Mallorca is a gorgeous island off of Spain, and the Yidden Nebuch were expelled over there. Lived Gedolei Yisrael, Rabbi Avram Zakut lived there. Many Gedolei Yisrael lived there, and they were expelled 100 years before the Yidden on the mainland of Spain were kicked away. And Adayem Azeh, it's a gorgeous island, gorgeous island. And I stopped there because I always learned so many chuvas about the Kila Kadisha Mallorca. So I said to my wife, we have to stop there.
Where's Mallorca?
It's an island. It's about an hour drive, an hour from Barcelona. It's an hour flight. So my wife said, where's on the map B'chal Mallorca? I said, I don't know where it's on the map. I know it's in all the chuvas from the Rivosh and the Rashbats.
And I know a lot of work on geometry.
Right. And from Zakut, I said, I don't care where it's on the map. It's somewhere because it's written.
Is just the pearls? The pearls come from there.
So I didn't know about pearls. I just knew the Mallorca from the chuvas. So I said we got to go there because I want to see Mallorca. So she said, "What do you know? Is there any Jewish thing?" I said, "I don't know. We didn't have time to figure out anything, but we made a quick ticket. It was a cheap ticket, $67, and we got there. We had mileage. We checked into a hotel. Turned out it was a gorgeous hotel. They had pictures of all the guests that used to love to stay in the hotel. Yasser Arafat used to stay there. Sitting on the beach, you think he was fighting as for his people. Unbelievable. And who is hanging out there at night? There's like a nice veranda and the music at night. Rich English Jews. And that's where Yasser Arafat used to hang out. So going to town, and at the Yom, there's where the Jews lived. Big part of the city, it's a gorgeous part, and there's a cloister, huge. It's more than this square block, bigger than this square block. And there's a little plaque saying that this used to be a shul. So it's a church now. Anyway, so the last Gadol B'Yisrael that it was in Mallorca is Reb Shimon ben Tzemach Duran, the Rashbats, and there's very important Sheilos Tshuvos, 3 volumes. It's recently reprinted by Mochen Yerushalayim. So Chela Gimel, he has a long tshuva going through explaining every line of the ksuva. It's a beautiful tshuva. And then he goes through the minhagim, and he says the minig is that the chassan gives to the kala under the chuppah, he gives it to her in front of the Edom, the ksuva. Why? 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 Why does it have to be? He gives her the ring in front of the Edom because Edom, that's the kiddushin. The Edom see it. That's the chal. But why? The earlier, say in the day, the Edom gave him a gartel and he picked it up and he was maschayv himself towards the kala that he has to pay her the X amount for the ksuba and for the tisefes and the nadunya. So why does he have to give her the ksuba in front of Edom? So he says an interesting thing. Look here in the next paragraph. Nan, we learned in the Mishnah, Mishameis, a person that died, he dies and they see that there's a shtar matona tied to his loin. He had in his belt, he had a shtar, and they pull it out, and they see that he gives $100 to his friend Ruven. The shtar is worth nothing because after you can't give a gift after death. It's already his Yorshim got the money. He can't give a gift after he passes away. But if he was mezak in his lifetime, this $100 to someone, if he already was mezakit in his lifetime, so then a gift is a gift in his lifetime. But after he passes away, the money doesn't belong to him anymore. He can't give away a gift. Roiv Rishonim say, he brings a list of all the Rishonim, starting from the Rimigash. Hainu below cost of Bekinyan, he didn't write in the shtar that he made a kinyan. The Bekinyan, if it was written in the shtar that two Edom already made a kinyan on this gift, B'shas kinyan nishtabit, as soon as he made a kinyan, there's already a shibud of $100 that goes to Reuven. What's the difference that he passed away? He owes already in his lifetime $100 to Reuven. But the Rif writes, I feel a kosa b'kinyan, even if it was written a kinyan. Kiven do lamatya lo yode lo yzachabah. If the shtar matona didn't arrive to Reuven's hand, nothing happened. Nothing happened. The shtar matona has to come to his hand. So the tashbet that according to the Rif, the giving a shtar matona, the giving over the shtar is critical. It's part of the kinyan. It makes the kinyan. So therefore it has to be done in front of Edom. Even though all the Rishonim hold one way and the Rif holds the other way, okay, Minig Yisrael is to do also like the Rif. We'll make the Rif happy too. When we're under the chuppah, we want to make all the mechotanim happy. So therefore, we're going to give over the shtar in front of Edom. But taka, if you didn't give it over in front of Edom, it's kosher. Now, in our case, in the ksuva the irkesa, we know he already made a kinyan and they gave it over the ksuva in front of Edom. We know that happened already. So he's mechuyev. It's just a technical thing that she doesn't have a proof. She needs a piece of paper in her hand, but it was already given over in front of Edom. So therefore, yesh loymar that in this case, even the Rif would agree. Even the Rif would agree that you don't need to have Edom. The whole thing is because part of the kinyan is the giving over the shtar, and the Edom have to see that. But that happened already under the chuppah.
100%.
That happened already in the chuppah, and I happen to know because I was Masad Kedusha for that chuppah, so I was there. I know. So what's left now? She needs a contract in her hand to show that she has a ksuva, so she collect the ksuva. Okay. So for that, you don't need that Edom should see that the husband gives it to the wife. Anyway, but this was a nice shaila. The Edom were Talmidei Chachamim, and they asked the Sheilos Chacham. So Mela, this is the answer.
The Tosefos on the Ksuba is always the same to everybody?
Yeah, it's always the same.
Sorry the man more, no?
Oh yeah? I didn't know. So quick, someone asked me, I should say the Rebbe's shit about tzedakah. I'm saying it because I don't know if it's a special thing, but you know what? This week's Parsha is Chol HaShetitli Asar Asarenullah. So I figured I'd say something, a geschmack of art from the Sikha from the Rebbe. The Rebbe, tzedakah obviously was a very, very important thing, but the Rebbe, Ki Yadua, the whole Avodas HaKodesh of the Rebbe was to give a pruta l'tzedakah for. There was a Yid that came, I'm listed at a Chabad house, so you never know, you get, even though mostly Baruch Hashem over here is Yidden Tamid Chachamim, but people fall in that mamish, like, zero connection sometimes, and sometimes people need a little help for Shabbos. Someone calls me up, and he says he needs a place to eat for Shabbos. So he comes to me for both meals of Shabbos. He was here Shabbos. He probably didn't notice he was a quiet guy. He sat quietly. After Shabbos, over here, it's going up some minig Beis Menachem Mendel to make an impromptu kiddush. Okay, was gemacht on. I'm here. I told Oirach, I hope you don't mind. We'll wait a half hour. We'll have, okay, it's right, impromptu kiddush. Takes an hour. After that, a person came running. Very important. His wife wants I should come to the house. It's 25 years since his Vayetzei. Okay, sure, I'll go there. Ask the Oirach, you mind? We'll go. So we go. So the woman said that her mother took her to the orthodontist and dropped her off later in school. It's 25 years ago when she was a kid. She was the oldest of the kids. There were 5 kids in the family. The youngest was not even 2 years old. Her mother went back home, and on that way she had an accident. Half hour later she passed away. The mother. So this woman, the Melish, okay, so understand, she wanted I should come over to her house to say L'chaim. So on the way out, this Oirach started to cry. He said, "Thank you so much for bringing me here." He said that that exactly happened to him about that time. Happened to him. That his wife was exactly. She said her mother was 38 years old. His wife was 39 years old, and she was in a car accident. She passed away a very short time later, an hour or two later. And he raised his 2 kids. Baruch Hashem. Today, they're both from a Yidden, and they live in Eretz Yisrael, and they have Eneklach, and he's Baruch Hashem very happy, very, very happy, Baruch Hashem. But he, for some reason, to him it was very important. He said, it's very helpful to me to hear this. And we were walking home, and he was crying and telling me about what he went through till he raised his kids, that he went through a little bit of difficulties. And Baruch Hashem today has a lot of nachas. He said after his wife passed away, a short time later, he went to 770 with his kids. Like, what are the odds? As soon as he walked in, he sees the Rebbe. He doesn't even know how low the odds are that he's going to bump into the Rebbe coming into 770. Ad Yom, he doesn't realize. It's basically, it's on the moment between 3:14 and 3:15, on the days that the Rebbe came out to daven.
A little before me.
That's what I'm saying. That second between 3:14 and 3:15, Kiyadua, the Rebbe was very bediuk with Zman. So he punkt walked in then, and it was like quiet, and he says like he locked eyes with the Rebbe, and the Rebbe called him over, and he called over the kids, and he gave them coins, and they put it into the pushka. Anyway, that was the story. Anyway, I'm just telling you that by the Rebbe. Tzedakah was unbelievable, the importance of tzedakah. And the Rebbe gave shlichus mitzvah to tzedakah. The whole kesha that Rebbe wanted to have with another Yid is through the kesha that Rebbe wanted to make with other people. Like what? The Rebbe's give shulam and this. In the Rebbe's mind, this was the way to get. The Rebbe wanted to, maybe 5,000 Yidden want to come and get a brocha, but what will be the way, the connection with the 5,000 Yidden on a Sunday? How will it be? Shulam, say Shalom. No, I'm giving you $1. You should be my shliach to give tzedakah. You could keep the $1 in your pocket and then give instead of $10. Okay, but that's a separate thing. But the shlichus mitzvah for tzedakah. So, Shane, you know already the Rebbe shit about tzedakah. However, there's in a sikha, the Rebbe brings a moridika thing. The Rebbe used to have campaigns, mitzvah campaigns. One of the campaigns that was very important to the Rebbe was that the Giyur Halacha. This was a very, very important campaign by the Rebbe. It was a very painful campaign. The Rebbe felt that this was a... But anyway, in one of the sikhs, the Rebbe spoke about the issue of Mi Yehudit. The Rebbe said, Rabbi Shalom feared the Welt. The Rabbi Shalom was going to have the upper hand anyway at the end of the day. Doesn't matter what the Israeli government is going to do. They're going to make a law like this, a law like that. The Rabbi Shalom feared the Welt. So a person is going to say, why do I have to get involved? What do I have to get in? The Rabbi Shalom feared the Welt. By extension, you can ask that every time you give tzedakah, Begashmis or beruchnias, which the Rebbe's big koch was that just like you have to give begashmis, a yid tzedakah, to put a sandwich in his hand, he shouldn't be hungry. A yid should never be hungry. Also beruchnias, the neshama is hungry. You have to make sure that every neshama is taken care of and not hungry. So you can say, oh, the Rabbi will take care of the end. Lo yidach v'men anidach. The Rabbi will take care of all his kinderlach. There will be no Jew left behind, right? However, the Rebbe said that there's halacha in Shulchan Aruch. Usually Shulchan Aruch doesn't bring stories. And here is a funny thing, that the Shulchan Aruch brings a story. What's the story? And look in your Yedei Simon Kuresh Mem Zayin. Mitzvah say litan tzedakah kefi asagas yad, u'ma'od yesh lizayer, should be very careful, ki efshar sheyavar le'shvichas dam shamas onim avakesh of layitam abiyad ke'uvda denochem ish gamza. It's like an unusual thing that Shulchan Aruch should bring a story. That you have, as soon as a yid cries out for tzedakah, you shouldn't wait. Like the story of Nochem ish gamza. That is the same thing here. If a yid beruchnius, if a yid needs to learn Aleph Beis or needs to learn how to put on tefillin, you're going to wait. The Rabbi will take care of it. No. You pull his hand over and put on tefillin with him. Buy him a pair of tefillin, put on tefillin. He's hungry, put a sandwich in his hand. He needs a job, find him a job. He needs a shidduch, find. Don't wait. The Rabbi fear develop. No. Like the story of Nochem ish gamza. What's the story of Nochem ish gamza? So the kitzur is that Nebuch, when he passed away, he was on an unbelievable amount of Yisurim. Okay. It's a Gemara in Tainus we once learned. Terrible Yisurim. Amar loy Talmidiv. The Talmidim said to Reb Nochum, Rebbe v'chmeach, Ratchetzadik Lomarata, Loma Olzelach Kacha. How come you have such a painful death? Amar Lambonei, Ani Garam Tilatz, Meshapam Achz, Yisma Halach Bederech, Lebeis Chome, Vahim Emasa, Gimel Chamoidim, Echad Shamach, Levechel Shemishte, Vechel Sheminim Megodim. He says he was traveling to his father-in-law's house and he had 3 camels, I think 3 donkeys. One had food, one had drink, and one had sweet stuff. Snacks. Amar li b'derech. Amar li ba'ani echad. Amar li b'derech. Amar li parnaseni. Amarti lo hamten at she'efrak min hachamor v'li ispakte lifrak min hachamor at she'yosas anishmosei. So Rabbi Nochem said, he said to the poor man, wait, I'm going to take the bags off in an orderly fashion, and I'll open up the bags and I'll give you some food. But the Vail Nebuch, the Oni, passed away. So he said that was the he was halachti and the falti alpona b'amarti eina shelechos aleinecha yisum eina yodei shelechos raglech yizgadmu raglech shelechos raglech yizkatu rechman letzlan. He accepted upon himself all kinds of yisurim, and he says that's why he passed away. He said he accepted upon himself as a tshuva this thing. So he told his talmidim not they shouldn't wonder why it happened, because that was a tshuva that he accepted upon himself, and then he passed away. So, Vayetzei Sheilos, like why Shulchan Aruch brings it a Maisa. We see that it's a very important Maisa that the Shulchan Aruch brings. The Rebbe said this expression in Yiddish. So I didn't know this expression until Shehi Pei. You ever heard this? Okay, so now you learn a new expression. Shehi Pei.
What was the problem? He didn't give it up.
He didn't. He should have ripped the bag open and give him a bag of chips immediately. Yeah. So now you know. Now you'll know what the Shehi Pei is. So the Rebbe said, "Etachnish gevat kin Shehi Pei." What's a Shehi Pei? So I didn't know this. In Yiddish there's an expression. Avarta Shehi Pei. He's making, what's a Shehi Pei? The Gemara says everything in Yiddish is like Lomdish, you know. The Gemara says that when Haman was talking to Achashverosh, he said that this nation is not worth to let them live. Because they're always, by them, as a party. By the Jews, there's always a party. They never want to work. They always want a day off. Shabbos Hayoim, Pesach Hayoim. The Rosh Hashanah from Shabbos Hayoim is Shin Hey Yud, and Pesach Hayoim, Shnas Pesach Hayoim, whatever, is Pehi, Pesach Hayoim. I'm sorry, Pesach Hayoim. Shabbos Hayoim is Shin Hey Yud, and Pesach is Pesach Hayoim is Pei Hey Yud. So that's a Shehi Pehi, Shehi Shabbos Hayoim, Pehi Pesach Hayoim. So a guy is delaying taxes. He's saying, if you're talking on the phone, this guy, he's shaying and paying me. What does it mean? He's haking a shining, he's delaying a cup. He's shaying and paying me.
I like with Haman, yeah.
He said that the Jews are always shaying and paying. They're always it's a shay pay. It's called, a guy who's a delay up. He's delay tactics. He's using delay. So he's just saying he's a shay pay. He's right now, he's shaying and paying me. Shei is Shabbos Hayom Pesach Hayom. Nu, when are you going to send me the contract? Shabbos Hayom. You're going to send it Pesach Hayom. Shei Pei. So the Rebbe said Vade that Nochem Ish Gamzu wasn't doing a shehi pay. It's just he wanted to orderly way take off the bags, but still he felt achrayus towards the oni.
Yeah.
So kol shekem v'kavachoyme the yid that we should feel achrayus to every yid what they need. Begashmis the beruchnis. The finally you learned an old Yiddish expression that you never knew, and from now on you know you don't let people to shehi pay you. The Eibush is al helfed that the Eibush shouldn't anymore shehi and pay us, and to give us bias and Mashiach tzidkenu take it from a yad.